welcome to this new video for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Carolera, and today I'm going to be talking about the novel Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. It's my favorite story by the celebrated author. It's quite a popular classic. I've seen 6 of its adaptations, and I shall be reviewing some of them as well. Before I begin, let me just say that this will be a video with spoilers, so beware if you have not read the book or seen one of its adaptations. My introduction to Great Expectations happened many years ago when I was quite young. I remember that my mother bought this movie set with 3 movies that starred Robert De Niro. One of them happened to be the 1998 modern take of Great Expectations. I can't recall the first time that I saw it, but I'm pretty certain that I loved it right from the start, and I've rewatched it countless times since because it has several elements that fascinate me about it. But more of that later. I doubt that I ever saw any of the other movies in the DVD set, but Great Expectations always stayed with me. And then one day when I was in high school, I think I was about 16, I discovered that the story was based on a novel by Charles Dickens. And since I was already an Anglophile who loved period dramas and English classics, I got really excited and decided to read it at once. And the first time that I read Great Expectations has always stayed with me because 1, I couldn't stop reading it. I even took it with me to classes, and there's a picture of me reading it in art class. And looking back upon that time, I bet I wasn't even really understanding all of the English language and everything that was going on in the novel, but it captured my attention sufficiently to hold my interest. And so when I couldn't get enough of it, I decided to search for the other adaptations. And over the years, I've watched the one from the 1940s with Gene Simmons, the one from the 70s with Michael York and Sarah Miles, the one from 1989 also with Gene Simmons, the one from 1998 with Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow, Robert De Niro, and Bancroft, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. And as I said, this one is a modern take on the story, so it has some differences. My favorite one is the one from the BBC from 1999, starring Ian Crawford and Charlotte Rampling. Then I saw one from 2011 with Gillian Anderson, Douglas Booth, Vanessa Kirby, and Ray Winstone. And last but not least, I've also seen the one from 2012 with Helena Bonham Carter, Ray Fiennes, Jeremy Irvin, and Holliday Grainger. So yes, as you can see, there are several adaptations of Great Expectations because it's really popular. And while I usually don't like it when we get remake after remake of the same story because other classics get ignored, there is something about Great Expectations that doesn't mind me being remade every 5 years or so. I guess that one of the reasons for this is because I've really become familiarized with the story through the adaptations and not through the novel, because I'd only read it when I was 16 and now this year, but I have seen the movies and the TV adaptations several times. And yes, as I said, my favorite one is the one from the BBC from 1999. I haven't seen it in a while though, but I remember that I just loved it and everything made sense when I saw it. The casting was perfect. And then after that one, I loved this one because even though it's a modern take that has differences, as I've mentioned, I don't think it really harms the original story because it's interesting to compare the differences between the original characters and the ones that are portrayed here, even though it's not what would have happened in the book. I hope that made sense. So yes, there are several things that I love about Great Expectations, and I encountered them as I reread the novel last week. Oh, and also, a couple of years ago, I saw the movie The Invisible Woman about Charles Dickens and his long affair with this young girl, who apparently was the inspiration for Estella, and both Dickens and her agreed that the original ending for the novel, which is way sadder than what we do get, would have been better. This is the story of Pip. He's a 7-year-old country boy, and during the first pages, he meets this runaway convict. He tries to help him to the best of his abilities, and then sometime later, Pip meets up with these 2 interesting women. One of them is called Miss Havisham. She's a woman who is really odd. She always wears white, she never leaves her house, she lives dark, and we get to learn about her background as the story moves forward. And Miss Havisham has this ward called Estella, who is about the same age as Pip, and she's this beautiful girl who is being brought up to be haughty and to use men's affections and to sort of destroy them. And when Pip first meets Estella, he can't help but feel drawn to her, even though she looks down upon him. And this creates a desire in Pip to be more than just a country boy. So one day when he's older and he comes upon these great expectations that offer him the chance to become a gentleman under a mysterious benefactor, Pip immediately accepts and goes out into the world with the hope of becoming a man worthy of Estella's affections. Along the way, he encounters rivals, he makes good friends, he ends up finding out who his mysterious benefactor is, and we see what happens between him and Estella. I give Great Expectations a 5 out of 5 stars review for several reasons. I highly recommend it. For example, when I was little, I was afraid of what Miss Havisham represented, and I loved the idea of this boy falling utterly in love with Estella, even though she made him miserable. And now that I am older, I am no longer terrified of Miss Havisham, and I still love Pip and admire him for the devotion he shows to the woman he loves. And now I understand Estella's character better, but still now I understand his love better, and I can see the flaws in it. It's not as pure as I thought. The way he is responsible for all the pain that he goes through, because even though he was led on, he knew he would suffer and he still went ahead with it. As to Estella, before I used to think she was this really strong character because she chose to be cold and haughty and proud. But then rereading the book now, years later, it made me realize that she didn't really have that much of a choice. She was raised to be like that since infancy. She didn't choose to be cold, she was made that way. I love Builder's romance stories, and Great Expectations is certainly one. I love following Pip from the time when he's a little boy, all innocent, to the last pages, more than about 15 years later. In retrospective, as a whole, I like in the storyline Pip as the main character, to see what happens to Pip when he gets what he desires and how that doesn't really satisfy him in the end. I find intriguing the thought of time standing still in Miss Havisham's house, having children play there. It's sort of an eerie fairy tale. Anyways, I believe that for the moment this is all I have to say about Great Expectations. I hope you enjoyed my video of it. Please let me know if you agree or disagreed with anything I said here, and let me know what are your own thoughts about Great Expectations. In the description box below you can find a link to the novel's Goodreads page, the IMDB page for the 1998 adaptation, as well as one for the 1999 BBC adaptation. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Caro Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye!